He's telling all these kids that how bad our country is. Burn your draft cards. Refuse to go into the service. He goes, Russia is this and Russia is that. And the guy next to me was in the Navy, and he says to me, John, you just got back in Vietnam. Do you believe what this guy's saying here? I said, yeah. That just pissed me off. I went up to the front of the classroom. I put my finger in his face, and I told him, I said, this is not right. These kids are all, I was watching these kids are going, like that, you know. I said, these kids are all agreeing with what you're saying. It's not right. What I did for my country, everybody should be obligated to go to service, whether it's right or wrong. Where country calls us, you got to go.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
It's, you're lucky it's not you. I feel it's, you know, I feel bad real bad for my buddy, you know, but could have been me too, you know.
Yeah.
I had a.
Did you feel any sort of obligation to get a word back to his family or anything like that?
So fast, everything was going on. You know, you didn't get. You moved, kept moving. So.
You still had a job to do.
Yeah. I'll give you an instant. I was coming in on a helicopter, a C-46, and they ambushed us. And the pilot said, "We're going to be landing in a hot zone," and he said. He couldn't land. He says, you got to get out. Everybody jump out now. Now get out now. And as I was getting out, I was like it was like 18 Marines there. I was like the 5th Marine out. And I just happened to look back like that. And I saw the NVA pop up with an RPG round right into the cockpit. Yeah. And it started to explode. The helicopter started to explode. And as I jumped off, I remember a piece of shrapnel about as big as a wheel went flying right past my ears. And I tripped over another Marine. I grabbed him by his strap, and I started to run. I know where I was running to, but, I mean, we're shooting at us with 60 caliber machine guns. They're big rounds, man.
Yeah.
They hit. It's like, poof, poof, poof. And and they were dropping mortars on us, too, because they were all the hills around us. You know, we landed on one hill. They were all around us. So I grabbed it by the strap, and next thing I knew, I was rolling into a big hole. And I didn't realize at first what it was, then I realized it was a B-52 bomb crater, you know, that blew out that big hole. And it wasn't for that bomb crater, I'd be dead today.
It was the other Marine.
Yeah, the other Marine got in the back.
He was deceased.
He rolled down on me on the back. Yeah, got KIA. Yeah, it's killed in action. But so I picked my head up. Every time I picked my head up, that bastard, he wanted me, you know. And he was like, boom, 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 boom. And then the shrapnel's flying, and the shrapnel blows, you know, so hot. And I tell you, I kept my face down. It was mud down the bottom. I put my face right in that mud.
Any chance that you had the idea in your mind, said, well, this is it?
Yeah.
This is it.
Oh, yeah. I sure was.
What was your thoughts?
Say a prayer and hope for the best.
Yeah. You know, I was leery about, you know, when they said it's a hot zone, everybody off, right then and there, you know, holy shit, you know, here we go, you know. But when I was down that bottom of the hole, I tell you, I just couldn't get low enough. And I felt bad for the guy above me, on me, but I didn't know who he was, or never to this day, because what happened is we grouped, and they called in artillery on all the hills around, and napalm, and that got them off and quieted up. Then we regrouped, and we moved to the next hilltop, and we dug our perimeter, foxholes around our perimeter, and we sat in for the night then.
Now, this sounds awful. It really does. It sounds awful, but I'm sure...
Coming from you, I expect it, though.
What's that?
I said, coming from you, I expect it, though. But go ahead.
No, I said this experience sounds awful.
I thought you said what you were going to say sounds awful.
God. So inappropriate.
This is one of my nightmares I have all the time. You know, it comes back, flashbacks, you know?
Absolutely. I could imagine.
But there were, I'm sure, because you're with your brothers, I'm sure it wasn't all rounds over the head. I'm sure you laughed because you have to. You just saw some really serious stuff. So I'm sure there was some good times you had with the people around you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we you know, we were in land in the area that I don't think was ever there. We found this rock formation that was hollowed out from years of the water coming down. And we put sentries around, and we all got naked, went in, and we were having a blast. We're like at the beach, you know? Yeah. You
had a wild hogs moment in Vietnam.
You can say, is that like one, I mean, you're talking about all these terrible moments. Is that one of your funniest moments there?
Let me see. one of my funniest moments would be,
I'm not sure I'd skinny dip in Vietnam. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. You Marines are a special breed of people.
This was clean. It was clean, pristine. We were in some bad water and a lot of leeches and stuff, but this was a clean area. It was really nice. What was that question again?
The funniest thing that happened to you there.
Funniest. I
And
think
like Kevin said, there was a lot
I
of
think
deep,
the
dark
funniest
stuff.
was that picture I brought in with those bananas.
Yeah.
I cut them off. I was like, I was fascinated. Wow, bananas, man. They're like little guys, So they said, well, if you put them on your backpack, they'll turn yellow and they'll be good to eat. So I put them on my backpack, and I walked with them for 2 days. When I sat down that night, not sat down, we dug our foxhole on the perimeter, and I just started eating my sea rations. I said, I'm gonna have some bananas now. As soon as I opened my first banana, I'm not kidding you, I don't know where the hell they came from. Hundreds of monkeys. Hundreds of monkeys. And they were vicious, man. They wanted my bananas. Only way I got out of it is I had to throw my bananas out to them.
What was worse, NVA
I
or
was going to say,
monkeys?
you had the NVAs coming from one side, monkeys coming from the other.
Yeah.
Because the reason I ask that is when you go through those critical incidents, the thing that gets you through it the quickest is laughter. Because as police officers, we laughed more than I can tell you, but we also did some really serious things.
Yeah.
And I've heard from other people who've been involved in war the same thing, that downtime is when the good times happen. And that's just as memorable as the horror.
Yeah.
But eventually, you can't do this forever.
Well-
You're going to rotate home.
Yeah. Well, today, I told you about that reunion I went to just like last week. And these are all guys, a lot of guys were with me. And so we talk about things that, I was talking to this one guy, and his name's Terry Tillery. And he was, I said to him, Terry, I got a quick question. I got this in my mind. I mean, so all these years.
Wait, Terry Tillery?
I was gonna say.
His parents should have named him Art.
Art. When he said Tillery, I was
They
thinking
should've named
Art
him
right
Art.
away.
Yeah, that was his name.
Art Tillery.
But I said to him, hey, Terry, because he got there the same time I got to Vietnam. So we were together for a while. So I said, Terry, did this really happen? I told him an incident, He goes, yep, John, it did happen, So, I mean, it was nice to talk to you guys and just to refresh your memory that, yeah, it did happen.
I mean, some of your recollection of it may be different from someone else's
That's right.
recollection of it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the more you think about it, the more your mind plays games on you, and you may skew your own facts.
Yeah, we differed on it. We were supposed to hit this gook who was in a tree, and we were supposed to bring up the M79, the blooper type. And he said, I got him. I said, oh, I thought I got him.
Now, eventually you find out Vietnam is coming to an end for you. And was there a feeling like, just, I got to make it a couple more days. I got to make it a couple more days when you knew the end was coming? Or did they take you out of the heavy action?
Well, in November of '68, I got my R&R. I waited to get R&R. I wanted to go to Australia. So I had enough of the slant ice. I wanted to go back to the round eye girls, So we had a blast over there. And I had this, I got too wrapped up in one of these women over there. And she was writing me these letters, for like 6 months afterwards, thinking I was going to go back. But yeah, when I came back and they put me right back out with my unit again in the bush, and I said, man, was I depressed, I mean, I just got, weird whiskey a go-go, dancing, having a good old time, Yeah. And then I'm back out there again, And in the meantime, I'm thinking that she's in love with me, But,
She was looking for a meal ticket back home.
That's all.
exactly.
That's all. That's what I called my mom when I got to Okinawa. She said, Johnny, that's what she wants. She wants to come back to New America,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So you finally step on that transport back home. Joy, was it sadness because you're leaving people behind? What was that like?
Well, it was sad they were leaving some guys behind that I knew would do real well. They had more time to do it, to be there. But it was really joy to know you get. Now, you didn't realize, you didn't feel it until you really got to Okinawa, Like,
Had to be a sense of relief too.
yeah, well, big relief. But you were, any minute, you were so afraid that they were going to hit this plane, going out,
Yeah.
But I made it back to Okinawa.
Now, while you were over in country, did you hear of any of the issues going on at home with the protesters, or was that kept from you?
They did have the Stars and Stripes, and
But Stars and Stripe was trying to keep your hearts and minds.
yeah, I don't recall, we didn't talk about it much. We didn't talk about it much, and I don't recall hearing much about it. And it was probably a good thing because it would have made me more sour.
Right.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you came back, was it a hero's welcome?
No.
Or
No.
you were up against
You
the
step off
hippies?
you step off the plane.
I
What?
stepped off the plane in Newark.
Yeah.
Right? And the plane in Newark, even back then, we had to circle around for a while because they couldn't come in land. It was crowded. So, and there was a lot of turbulence. So, like, I don't know, for an hour, we did up and down turbulence, So I get off the plane. My whole family's waiting for me to go. First thing my mom says, Johnny, you're yellow. I said, well, Mom, I was up in that plane like a roller coaster for an hour.
Get off the plane, you puke instead of kissing the ground.
Yeah, I didn't puke, but I was close to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, they greeted me. There was my whole family. That was beautiful. It was such a nice
I'm sure
thing to
that's
see.
something you'll never forget.
Never forget. My little brother, 2 years old, was there. It was so nice. But really, what it started was when I'd go out somewhere.
Wait, you had a 2-year-old brother?
I was going to say that's probably the first time you met him when you landed.
No.
Oops.
Let me see. No, I was. I knew him before because I was home and leave.
Yeah.
I was home. Yeah. So, but anyway, I would go places, and I wanted to talk about what I did, what was going on, Nobody wanted to hear. So I met my wife in January of '69, and she was always been interested in what I did, So I had her to share my thoughts and my feelings, and it worked out pretty good. But I went to Middlesex County College, and I was in the history class there. And this teacher with the long hair, and he had the bell bottoms, and everybody said he's the head of this Democratic Society here, So I said, okay. So now he's telling all these kids, they're like 17 years old, 18 years old. I'm like already 21 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's telling all these kids that how bad our country is. Burn your draft cards. Refuse to go into the service. He goes, Russia is this and Russia is that. And the guy next to me was in the Navy, and he says to me, John, you just got back in Vietnam. Do you believe what this guy's saying here? I said, yeah. That just pissed me off. I went up to the front of the classroom. I put my finger in his face, and I told him, I said, this is not right. These kids are all, I was watching these kids are going, like that, I said, these kids are all agreeing with what you're saying. It's not right. What I did for my country, everybody should be obligated to go to service, whether it's right or wrong. Our country calls us, you got to go. So he called me out into the hall, and he apologized for saying that. He told me he would promise never to say it again, and he didn't. And
so you changed somebody's mind. Your suffering changed somebody's mind.
Yeah.
And that's what it's there for.
Right. And I got a good grade. I don't think I was doing good in that class, but I got a good grade.
It's a shame that, during that war, and I don't think it's happened since Vietnam, not to my knowledge, not on a grand scale like it did in Vietnam, where soldiers coming back from battle step off the plane into another war that happens at home.
Well, I mean, soldiers would come back from Vietnam and they were being spit on.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I have something. Not everybody got spit on. I mean, there's stories about that out there. But some did. Yeah, some did, but not everybody did. But I think that the worst thing was, all these demonstrations going on. I get out of class and I walk into the courtyard. Every corner there was a demonstration against Vietnam.
Yeah.
All these students. And how's a guy feel that just got done serving his country?
I mean, I'm sure you were filled with like post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
You and you were probably just about to snap at that point.
Yeah.
And to see these people fighting, you being the proud American and fighting for your country.
Yeah.
Coming home being an honored, military veteran at this point.
Yeah.
That's gasoline on the fire.
And these people are just stoking you right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the story I heard is I used to work with a guy who was he was in Vietnam before we were in Vietnam. All his mail got routed through Texas. His mother thought he was in Texas, but he's got pictures of himself in Vietnam. And so he was there when the war officially started. When he came home, there was a woman who spit on him. And he told me this once because I got real close to this guy. She spit on him, and he punched her right in the nose, like dead square in the nose.
Justified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justified.
Absolutely.
It would be justified homicide for me anyway.
Yeah.
So that stress, that post-traumatic stress that you felt, you were just a kid.
I still feel it.
How do you deal? How do you cope? Because the Suffering Podcast is all about giving people tools on how to deal with certain events in their life and how you dealt with it personally. How did you deal with it?
Well, I was a workaholic, and I was my own business for 36 years. So I was so busy working. I'd work a lot of hours, maybe like 16 sometimes hours a day, 12 hours a day. I was a restaurant business, and I was so busy doing all that I didn't get to think about that stuff. It was a relief for me.
That's the same thing Bob Gibson said.
Yeah.
We, as Bob Gibson, World War II veteran of D-Day, Battle of the Bulge, what did you do? How did you get through it when you got back stateside? And he said the same thing. He goes, you got to get to work.
Yeah.
You got to get to work.
That's right.
An idle mind is the devil's playground.
Where him and I, when we had our events, we couldn't work.
Yeah.
It's almost counterintuitive to what the people who came before us said to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to keep yourself busy. I've been retired for 6 years now, and I'm working more now retired than I was when I was working because I have to keep busy.
Right.
If I have too much downtime, if I have a day off coming up, I get like an anxiety thinking about the day off. I'm like, yeah, I have to do something.
The same way to this day. I don't want to get laid up for a month or 2 months, or I'll deal with what I got rather than telling me I got to not do anything for a month. It's crazy.
Lay in bed for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You look like you spent a good portion of your life taking care of your body. You're in great shape. You've survived what some would say the most unpopular war in American history, doing what you had to do, serving your country, doing your duty with honor. And my hat's off to you because, a lesser man, I think, might have broke when they came home and got done fighting one more and had to fight another.
Well, I know people that turned to alcoholics, big-time alcoholics.
There was a lot of suicide after that.
A lot of suicide, alcoholics, And I have a good friend that came back, got Agent Orange, good friend. And he asked me to be in his wedding when we got back, and he used to come to my restaurant and talk to me all the time. One day I call up, and I says, can I talk to Artie? Artie's not here anymore. I said, what do you mean he's not here? He died. I said, well, he died from what? He said, complications of Agent Orange. So, I mean, it's shocking, when you find that stuff, But like I said, I keep myself busy, and I exercise a lot, and I made myself a little man cave, and
a little safe place.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, what I like to call it is the bat cave.
Yeah,
to get away from wives.
That's right. That's right. That helped me a lot.
I'm sorry, hon. I'm so sorry.
I mean,
John's lovely wife is sitting out there in the booth.
I know you've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you relive it all the time. Like you said, you still think about it. Is there one certain thing that you think about like all the time? One certain thing from Vietnam that really sticks with you?
Yeah. We were on patrol, and the guy in front of me, machine gunner, right? And I tell you, the jungle's so thick, you can look at that picture, you see it. And out of nowhere, a bamboo viper just swung down and bit the guy in the arm. And they tell you, two-stepper, man.
Yeah.
Take 2 steps, you're dead. So he hit the ground, and I was first there, right behind him. So I put a tourniquet on it just above his elbow, and I called the corpsman up. Corpsman put a couple of cuts in there, and he squeezed out as much, I guess, the poison he could. But this guy started flopping like a fish.
Yeah.
Right there, in front of me. And he's looking at me in the face, like eyes wide open,
Like a help me look.
Yeah, I was so, to this day, I feel bad about it because it happened right in front of me. Now, I couldn't have done anything about it because didn't see it till it came down last minute, But I did kill the snake with a machete afterwards. But we tried to get him, we thought, the corpsman says, he's dead. All right, so we brought up a body bag, put him in a body bag. And I felt so bad. So I went to the landing zone where the chopper was going to come in to medevac him out. And there was a lot of bamboo trees. So you couldn't have him come in, and it was on the side of it. We were always on the side of freaking hills.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get him out because the bamboo stumps were there. But I tried like heck, 4 or 5 times to try to get him into the chopper would come down. The C-46s, the long ones, with the back drop down like that.
Yeah.
And it would come in, and we'd be hoovering, and we tried to throw the body in, missed. Hoovering, throw the body in, couldn't get him. Finally, the 4th time, we got him in there. And for all those years, I felt so bad about that. I still feel bad about it. I wish I could have killed that snake first. But I felt so bad about my buddy. I just laying there with his eyes, would die with his eyes open, they said. So I go to a reunion last year, because these have these reunions every year. This guy he did well, and he invites all the guys up from Charlie Company. And we have a great time. But anyway, we're talking about this incident, and I said, did anybody remember the guy that was hit by a snake? Oh, I was there. Well, you were? I said, I was right behind him. He goes, no, I was behind you. And then the guy says, oh, I was in front of you when it happened, you know? So we all got, holy moly. And then we have a historian of our Charlie company. He comes over, he goes, no, John. He went to the Da Nang airport and they zipped open the bag and he was alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All these years I thought he died.
He shows up at the reunion. No, it was me in the bag. It was me in the bag.
Yeah, no. But he wasn't there because he died, later.
So if you had your advice of what you've gone through, both in the war, after the war, and dealing with the stress of war, if you were to speak to a younger person ready to go into the service, ready to go into war, what do you think is some apt advice that you could give them?
It depends what kind of guy he is. I mean, if he's motivated about our country, he's motivated about being gung ho. Yeah, I mean, go for it. You know, you want to be a Marine, you want to be recon, you want to be a Navy SEAL. You know, go for it. You know, it's personal pride. You know, so I would say that, and I would say that if your country says they need you, and you're an American citizen, I mean, it's our duty.
Correct.
That's what I'd say.
I agree.
100%.
Is there anything that you want to throw out there for a plug? I know you belong to the VFW in Glen Gardner. They've been so good to us. We've been down there. They're a wonderful bunch of people. Anything you want to plug?
I just think that the Glen Gardner in VFW in Glen Gardner is probably the best post around. Run the best.
Yeah.
And
Jay's wonderful.
Jay's doing a great job, and he's got good people on the board. And I happen to be the chaplain there, so
Oh, very nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
and they all kid me about being father, you know. But hey, somebody had to do it, so I raised my hand, you know.
You're like Father Mulcahy of the VFW in Glen Gardner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't volunteer to be a tunnel rat, but you volunteer to be a chaplain.
Well, you know,
Less bullets flying at your head.
Yeah. So no, I would plug the VFW, doing a great job. They have a lot of good functions going on. It's one of the most in New Jersey. I think it's one of the best.
Well, we do.
But I tell you, we had a great time when we were down there that night, though. I mean,
they treated
us like gold.
Yeah.
Really did.
So we're coming to this. We're coming to the end of this thing here, and you've been through things that I can't imagine. You fought in one of the only unpopular wars in the United States history. You've seen a lot of suffering on many different levels. What do you think it's taught you?
What I think, what
What do you think this suffering has taught you?
it's taught me. So let me be thankful for my life, thankful that I'm here, thankful for my family, thankful that I was able to have successful business, and thankful that that I have two great grandsons and my daughter. You know, I'm very thankful for all that.
Do you think your experience in the Marine Corps and in Vietnam gave you the work ethic to run your business?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I was like, everybody could say, I could tell you were in the Marines. You know, they'd say the way you run this place. You know.
Yeah.
All your cooks had to have their shoes polished, mirror.
Yeah, we all wore uniforms, you know, and you wore black shoes and you wore the white aprons in the back, you know. I'll tell you a quick story. I had this one guy was cooking back then. We were busy. I mean, we'd have a 45-minute wait almost every night of the week. And after a while, people somehow, they get cocky with you when they know you need them that bad. So I'd go back and I'd say, hey, I says, where's the food? I need the food. Get it, come a little faster, you know. So he took a big knife and he starts pounding. He says, he'll get it when I'm done. So what I do? I went over, I got a bigger knife. And I came back and I said, I want it now. And I'm right in his face. And you know what? He stopped and he got busy again.
Yeah, there's a lot of value to military service. It teaches you a lot of life lessons that I don't think you can learn anywhere else.
No, you can't learn that in college.
No. John, thank you so much for coming in here today. This has been amazing. And
again, Kev, this is an episode for us.
Yes, this is another one for us. This is another one for us. We need to get somebody from Korea in here.
That'd be nice.
Because we get somebody from Korea in here, we're going to put together a whole military series.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk afterwards.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great.
John, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. As always, we talk about what we learned. Reality hits hard, just like a hammer. November 10th should be a national holiday.
That's right. But you know, they do have a national holiday for Vietnam veterans now.
Yes, but I'm talking November 10th specifically for the Marine Corps.
They should.
Duty is the highest honor. Skinny dipping in Vietnam might not have been the best idea in the world. One more is enough for anybody to fight, but most importantly, be thankful. That's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow Mike on Instagram at Mike_Falaise. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. Follow the Suffering Podcast at the Suffering Podcast, and we're going to see you on the next episode.